Okay, so welcome everybody to the feelings and emotions class. So this class is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be hands-on. We're going to do some work tonight, if that's okay with everybody. And again, if you just want to sit back and watch this, that's okay too. This is just a resource for you guys. The reason I'm doing this class, I love to do this emotion and oils class, but one of the reasons I'm really bringing this up now is because of the time that we are living in. We are in such a stressful, uncertain time that there is more and more people that are becoming depressed. They have emotional issues with everything that's going on, whether it's post COVID or whatever it is. Emotions are at the highest right now. So I wanted to do this class to be able to give you guys tools to help you and your family deal with some of these emotions, because suicide rate is up, adolescent suicide rate is up, teen suicide rate is up. It's out of control. It's out of control with the rates of anxiety with adults, children, all of the above. The rates of depression are up just in these last 2 years. And so the one goal for me is that I give you some tools to be able to deal with these emotions that are going on. We live in a society that are pill poppers, right? Yes or yes. We want a pill for everything because we just want the emotion to go away. We know that 99% of all decisions that we make in life have to do with our emotions. So again, we are in the society of just take a pill and let's numb it. Let's not deal with the emotion. Let's not work through that, because our fear is that it's too painful to be able to do the work and deal with these emotions. And it's never ending, right? These emotions keep coming up. So what's the point in dealing with it? Let's just take a drug and numb it. That's not the answer. I do not believe that that's the answer. I want to give you guys a tool and a resource to be able to work through these emotions. And we're not supposed to be numb all the time. We are emotional beings. We are electrical beings. We have frequencies. And it's important that I give you a tool to do that. Now, I am not saying that there's not a time and a place for medicine. I'm not anti-medicine. I'm just saying if you are in that place of a medication for your child or yourself, then what? We get to this, okay, it might be necessary for a little bit, but then what? What are we going to do now? And a lot of times we'll end up, going to something else or needing something else because it's not dealt with. So that's my goal for you guys tonight, is to give you some easy tools that aren't painful, that aren't difficult to do or difficult to get through, and have some success with this. This is something that you guys can do on a daily basis. This will be recorded so you can access this training at any time. So this training is based off of the releasing emotional patterns with essential oils by Dr. Carolyn Mine. And she is a chiropractor that has done a lot of work and studied through how do we deal with emotions and how do we release them so that we don't continue to pass these toxic behaviors on from generation to generation. In fact, there is some research out there that shows that our toxic behaviors or our emotions or the way that we respond to things is generational, that these emotions get tied into our DNA. And in fact, they can be shed down 7 generations at a time. So if we don't continue to, address these patterns that keep coming up in our families, then, it's going to continue for our children and their children and so on and so forth. So we have the opportunity to draw the line in the sand and say, no more, I'm dealing with this. And then I'm going to teach my children a way to deal with this. And again, this is just a tool. This is not the end all be all by any means, but these are tools that I've used in my family, in my practice, that have brought amazing success. So for those of you that don't know me, my name's Robin Stetzel. I'm a registered nurse. My background was always bone marrow transplant and oncology. I was a healing touch practitioner when I was in the hospital, and I'm also a certified aromatherapist. So I use essential oils all the time in my practice, and I'm really excited to be able to share these tools with you guys. So in order for us to really get into the nitty gritty of all of this, I find it's really important for us to understand what oils are, what the emotions are, how does this actually work, the science behind it. So we know that emotions are very complex. In fact, there's not even one real definition for emotions because there's no conciseness in science to say this is what emotion is, this is what emotion is. There's many different interpretations of what emotions are. And so what we know with emotions is that there are two sides of emotions. Really, all emotions are either negative or positive, and we're going to get into that tonight. You either have a negative emotion that is stemming from fear, or you have a positive emotion that is stemming from love. Really, all other emotions are coming from those two polarities. Everything has frequencies, everything has a positive to it, and everything has a negative to it. And our emotions are the same way. So when we do some of this work tonight, you will be looking up a emotion that you want to deal with in your resource guide or in your book. Start thinking about that emotion that keeps coming up in your life. You know, what keeps you stuck? Is it anger? Is it something that triggers you and then you respond a certain way? Is it bitterness? Is it forgiveness? Is it trust? What is the emotion that's coming up for you? And we're going to work on that and see if we can't get some shifts to take place so that you can get through that and it's not holding you back from living your life to the fullest. So again, we're going to give you some tools to look those resources up. But as we get into how does this work, how could possibly essential oils allow us to deal with our emotions? And that's where we get into the science behind this. And the science behind it is really phenomenal and interesting. And while we know that there is a relationship between our emotions and our disease processes, that has been well discovered over the years. We know that typical people know that ulcers, are caused by stress. That's pretty common. Or high amounts of stress can cause a heart attack. Or other things like when you're stressed out, you can get canker sores or whatever it is. So we know emotions play a role with how our body responds to those emotions. And when emotions go undealt with, then we tend to start manifesting disease processes in our body. So another really great author that I love, here's her book, Louise Hay. Her book is called Heal Your Body. It's a phenomenal book. And she believes that all disease processes come from our emotional state and what we can't get past. So in this book, if you don't know what emotion you're possibly wanting to deal with, maybe look at the part of the organ that you're having a challenge with your health. Is it lung? Lung usually represents grief. Is it that hasn't been, gone through those steps? Maybe it's thyroid. Maybe it's the liver with resentment, bitterness, anger. What you can look up your organ system to determine what emotion do you want to work with. Or say you have essential oils on hand. So say you have purification. You can look up purification in the book and you can see what emotion is tied to this oil. This oil is anger, is one of them. We're going to go through several of them, but just kind of get you thinking before we dive deeper into the exercises of what emotion do you want to deal with, or what organ system do you want to deal with. And when we get to that point, you guys can pop in your questions in the chat and I'll help you to find the emotion and we'll work through some of that as well. So let me get my notes all here. I tend to talk faster than I follow my notes, but sometimes I don't even know why I keep notes. Okay, so let's carry on here. So then when we want to look at I'm going to move the chat box over here. So when we look at the science behind how does this work, we really want to look at the limbic system. We know the limbic system is the system that is responsible for our emotions. The limbic system is in the cerebrum, in the brain, and it's responsible for storing our emotions, for storing our memory, And it's also there to allow us to smell as well. So we're going to break this down. So the limbic system consists of the corpus callosum, the hippocampus, the thalamus, the hypothalamus, basal ganglia, amygdala, cerebellum, your brainstem, and your olfactory bulb. So if you're looking at this picture, the pink part of it, the bigger part that's on the left-hand side of the screen, that's your frontal lobe. And then you go back here where the cerebellum is, that is the back of your head. So you can kind of relate to where that's at. And then the olfactory bulb, that's your nose. That's where your nose would be. So the limbic system is referred to as our emotional brain because that's where all of our emotions reside. So this portion of the brain controls our emotional response, hormone function, behavior, motivation, long-term memory, short-term memory, our sense of smell. And I'm just going to break down some of these specific areas as well because I just find this so fascinating. So the hippocampus is responsible for forming our short and long-term memories. Our amygdala perceives emotions such as anger, fear, sadness. It plays a role in controlling aggression. It helps store memories of events and emotions. And it also plays a role in our sexual activity and libido. The hypothalamus controls our reproduction, our sleep patterns, and our body's homeostasis. So if you guys have been on any of my talks where I explain in my detox programs how toxins affect the hypothalamus and keep us from losing weight, or if you've tried diet and exercise and you're still not losing weight, it's the hypothalamus that you have to address. The hypothalamus has receptor sites on it. It controls our entire endocrine system. It controls the thyroid. It controls the adrenals. It controls estrogen and progesterone. So when we have interference at the hypothalamus level with toxins, we can have interference throughout the entire body. Our emotions can be toxic as well. So we know toxic emotions can also have that same effect on the hypothalamus that's affecting our organ systems. So the other part of this is the thalamus, which is our sensory information. It brings in the sensory information. It relays the sensory information to our cerebral cortex. So again, that our emotions and our memory is all in a tight-knit family of responses in the limbic system. The sense of smell is the only way to really access that limbic system and pull out those emotions. That's why essential oils are so phenomenal with this. So let's look at how essential oils actually affects the limbic system. So when you breathe in an essential oil, what happens is the essential oil molecules, they go through our nostrils, they sit on little tiny hairs that are called cilia, and those cilia, they vibrate at a certain level and they send a signal to the limbic system part of the brain. And so there's a lot of detailed science behind that, but that's really how it works. Is you smell something, you smell an aroma, and it goes through that nasal cavity and it goes through the olfactory bulb and it affects the limbic system. Once it gets to the limbic system, the area of the memories and the emotions, it elicits some type of response. We all can relate to this by thinking of a time that a smell elicited some type of a response. And if you are thinking of a time, maybe just put it in the chat, like you smelled something and it reminds you of something. If you smelled maybe your fresh baked cookies and it reminds you of mom, or being at home during Christmas time. Or say you smelled an old a cologne that reminded you of your grandpa. What is that emotion that you've tied a smell to that is either brought up a good response or a negative response? That's how it works. It unlocks memories and it unlocks emotion, which is phenomenal. That's why we can use essential oils to unlock our memories and unlock emotions that we want to bring up and heal from and get past. So that's the science behind it in a gist of how that works. Or maybe even, you smelt a cologne and it reminded you of a boyfriend or a girlfriend or that you were like, no. And you're like, oh, I can't even stand that smell. So negative or positive, a smell can elicit and unlock that emotion and that memory. Just one second, let me make sure. Okay, just make sure everybody's getting in here, okay? Okay, so that's the science behind how essential oils work on the brain. And so when we look at the essential oils and emotions, again, we want to make sure that we are using pure essential oils, especially when we're doing this work. Some of the things I'll be teaching you guys tonight, please don't run out and grab a bottle of essential oil that's lavender or a knockoff purification or something like that and expect the same response. These are all volatile compounds and they are very, very sensitive to heat, to the way that they're manufactured. So if there's any disruption in the way that these essential oils are created, it can cause the whole essential oil to not work properly. A lot of the essential oils out on the market are just cheap and they're fragrance, and you certainly don't want to be breathing that into your pineal gland and your brain stem. You don't want those oils anywhere near there, or you're going to have a whole host of other problems. So let's get into some of this over here. Let me just get here. Okay, so it's time to start doing some work. I could spend hours on the science behind it, but I want to really just dive in and give you guys the tools to really start moving forward with getting some emotions released. So let me organize my notes here because I am all over the place. Okay. Okay. So this is the part where you might want to pop some questions into the chat if things that come up, or if you want me to look something up for you, I can certainly do that. The first step in dealing with our emotions, tonight I'm actually going to go through two types of techniques with you. This is the first technique based on Caroline's book. So the first thing is to identify that emotion. You want to identify the emotion that is continuing to come up in your life. What's that one emotion that you just can't seem to get past, or you're always triggered and then you have this emotional response? Maybe it's fear right now. Maybe it's grief. Maybe it is just the fear of the unknown going on right now. Maybe it's fatigue, something as simple as that. Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's bitterness. Maybe it's mistrust. Or forgiveness. There's a big one. Forgiveness. Think of an emotion and identify that emotion. If you want to share what that emotion is, if you're wanting to be a little vulnerable, you can put that in the chat box. If not, totally fine. What you're going to do is, if you have your worksheet printed out, you can write the emotion on that first line. Right now, all we're going to be doing is filling out this sheet, and then we're going to go back and we're going to do the work. Okay, so write down what emotion you are wanting to address tonight. If you don't have the handout, just grab a piece of paper and just write that emotion down. Okay, I'll give you guys a minute to look that up. This is how you'll look that up. Your reference guide here. You're going to look up that emotion, and you'll look that up by the column on the left-hand side of the page. I will do, let's see, for the example tonight, I will do anxiety. So I'll do anxiety for tonight. So anxiety is here. You're going to write that word down on your sheet of paper. Next, you're going to look up the essential oil that goes with that emotion. Okay, so if you don't have this, pop that emotion in the chat box and I will respond with what oil that goes with that. So just look up here, and on your guide, you're going to look on the left-hand side of the page for your emotion. Then you're going to look at the fourth column down under oil, and that's the oil that's paired with that emotion. If you don't happen to have that oil, that's okay. It's no problem. You could choose your oil for your emotion by intention, or just what oil are you drawn to that you do have? Is there one oil that's speaking to you right now that's like, you're wanting that oil? So you can just do it that way. Or if you only have one or two oils, use any oil. Gary Young used to teach us in our trainings that You know, when in doubt, if you don't know what oil to use in a certain situation, use the one in front of you. Like, you can't go wrong here. You're not going to mess this up. Just grab any oil and you can do that. I am going to let you know what that is, Sandy. I will look that up here. Do you have the oil that goes along with your word, Sandy, or you want me to look that up?
Well, it looks like the oil's Envision.
It is Envision.
Yeah. I don't have that one.
Okay, so if you don't have the oil that's listed, again, grab any oil. Another one that's universal is frankincense. Frankincense, when in doubt, pull frankincense out. He's the master. You know, if it's good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for anybody, is what I always say. So pull frankincense out, the holy anointing oil. You can use that on any of these, and that's just fine too. So if you have lavender, that's totally fine too. Just grab an oil and then make your little wish list of, if there is a emotion that you're dealing with and you're like, oh man, it keeps coming up, maybe on your wish list for your next, you know, order on your Young Living order, write that down and maybe get that into your arsenal so that it can really help. Okay, so if not, just any oil will work. Okay, so let me see here. Okay, perfect. So you've written down your essential oil. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to find the area that it applies to. I'm going to give you the area for tonight because there is a standard place that we can apply our essential oils for any situation. You can use this chart and you're going to be looking up the alarm point. That's going to give you the area of the organ system or body system that is being affected by that emotion. Okay, so look up the alarm points. On the very last page, you're going to see some letters, A, B, C, D, or whatever. What those are doing, that's just guiding you back to the book to look up the chart that ties that alarm point to your acupuncture point. So there's points for the liver on your hand, there's points on the ears, there's points all over the body that you can look up the acupuncture point and get very specific with that. For tonight's purposes, I'm going to make it real simple and easy for you guys because there's a general place that you can apply these oils in any situation and get a good response. So what you're going to do is write down the area of application, and you're going to write that down on that line. Okay, we're not going to do the work yet, but just write down that area. The areas that I'm going to tell you to apply the oil, the one spot, if you do one spot at all, go right across the basically it's the third eye. You're going to go right across the brow in the middle here. And there's 2 points here. You're going to place your oil on the forehead here. Okay, that's an emotional point that Caroline talks about that is very standard. So you could write across the forehead. The other spot that you can do is on the top of the head or your crown chakra. The other spot is the notch. It's called the LC notch, that little bone that connects the skull to the brainstem. That little notch there, that's a fantastic place to put your oil to really unlock the nervous system. The other places, there's 2 spots on the back of your head, just on the base of the skull, not quite behind your ears, but on the base of the skull, not at the notch, just a little bit over, kind of in between the notch and your ears. Those 2 spots, you can apply the oils there. That's called our filter point. And our filter point, if you are one that is empathetic or not empathetic, one that brings on a lot of other people's emotions, you take on their emotions, the emotions of the world or the energy of the world. If you're picking that up, that's a really great place to apply that oil because it filters that out and allows it not to come in. Okay, so that's something that you can use too. You can use all of those areas when we're doing the exercise. So you can do the forehead, you can do the crown, the notch, and the filter point. Totally fine. The other way to look up what place you want to apply the essential oil is just to listen to your body. Listen to where, when we get into the work, where is that emotion living or sitting? And once we start getting into this exercise, I'll have you do some visualization And where are you feeling the emotion? Maybe it's in your chest. Maybe you just feel like, I don't know, the oil just needs to go on my chest. Or maybe you just feel like, I don't know, it needs to go on my gut or wherever. It's okay. This all has to do with intention, and you're not going to mess this up. Just get the oils on you. Okay. But again, you can be specific on those certain areas. And her resource guide gives you that cheat sheet of what organ system is affected by that emotion. Okay, so write that down on your sheet of where you're going to be applying that essential oil. You're going to skip the next one and you're going to turn the page over. Over here, we are going to look for that other side of the emotion. So remember, we talked about there's a positive side of the emotion, there's a negative side. You wrote down that negative side, the one that you want to deal with. And sometimes that can be positive, but just to keep it simplicity here, we want to look up that emotion, and then the column that's right next to it is the other side. Okay, that's the other side of the emotion. Write that down, what that emotion is, on this form right here. Okay, so for anxiety, the other emotion is, the other side is confidence. For anxiety, the oil is joy. So I'm going to be using that. And then anxiety has to do with capillaries or your circulation. The other thing too is really what's interesting is, again, if you have an issue going on in your body. So for example, I'll just look up thyroid. You can get some of that information that might possibly be going on from Louise Hay's books. So the thyroid, for example, I will just read this because I love this book. She used to have an app that I would be in all of the time, but yeah, she passed away, and that didn't, I don't know, it just went away. Okay, so thyroid. So there's specific ones for goiter, hyperthyroidism, and hypothyroidism, but thyroid in general, the feeling or emotion behind it is humiliation. Okay, so that's humiliation for thyroid dysfunction. Here's the negative thought process with that. I never get to do what I want to do. When is it going to be my turn? That might be the negative response in somebody that has a thyroid issue. The positive end of it, what would be creative or being free. I move beyond old limitations and now allow myself to express myself freely and creatively. So this, again, the book you can look up to help you with, if there's an organ, it can tie that to an emotion too. It's just an awesome way to really dive a little bit deeper into releasing some of these emotions that are affecting our health and our organ systems. So, okay, you've written down your other side of your emotion. So let me see here. Hold on a second. Just, okay. Yes, okay. All right, so then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to write down the emotion that you came up with in the next line. So you're going to write this down. I choose to release the trauma behind the emotion, and put your word there. Put your emotion in that spot there. We're going to be going through this exercise. The next line, I choose the other side of the emotion. You're going to write that in that spot right there. Next, we need to find our way out. So Carolyn talks about, again, when we're finding the positive and the negative parts of our emotions, we need a way out. That's that positive affirmation. That's the positive thinking. That's something to bring us from A to Z to get us past that emotion to the next emotion. And that's where our affirmations or our statements come into play. So your way out is in the chart here, and it's going to be the third column down that you see. The third column down, again, is going to be your way out. Write down that statement in that line, your way out. Okay, so I'll give you guys a second to do that. For mine, anxiety is Peace, be still. Peace, be still. So that's what I would do right there. So you've got your way out, your affirmation, your statement there. Okay. The other thing too is sometimes maybe the way out just doesn't jive with you. Like it doesn't feel good to you. Like I don't want to say that. It doesn't feel right to me. You can also use a statement that I provided for you from Gary Young, and that is down below where you would fill out your statement. You can use this for any situation. And it's, I lovingly and willingly release that which no longer serves me in a positive or progressive way. So you could use that as your affirmation. Again, you could use the affirmations from Louise Hay's Heal Your Body book as well. So it's all what you are intending to do with that. So write down your affirmation, your way out statement, or use the one I provided for you, okay? So let's go through this, okay? So we're gonna go through this. We're gonna take a few minutes to actually walk through this process. Just know that we're not gonna fix things in one session, in one night. The consistency that of doing this technique on a daily basis, multiple times a day even, can really help. Challenge yourself to do this for 30 days. Keep your worksheet, go back to it often. It will become habit. It will become one of those daily habits that you will become it's a piece of cake to get through in a very quick, short amount of time, in just a couple minutes. So what you're gonna do is you're going to go to this statement here. The first thing that you're going to do is grab your essential oil, okay? So you're gonna grab your essential oil, and we're going to activate this oil before we put it on our bodies. So 1 or 2 drops on the non-dominant hand. Then you're going to activate that oil by circulating it around clockwise at least 3 times. Okay. Then you're going to apply the essential oil to your alarm point. So if it's your liver, if it's the heart, or just use the points that we had talked about that are general for everything. So across the forehead, you can then apply it to the crown of your head. Sometimes people even like to just put a drop straight on top of your head. Direct access to the pineal gland. Our pineal gland is one of our emotional centers. It's also what controls our sleep cycles. This is a great way to apply your oils right on the crown. Apply it to the LC notch. And when I applied to the LC notch, I was taught by a practitioner years ago to do clockwise that way too. There may be some reasons you would go counterclockwise, but for tonight's purposes, we are just going to be going clockwise. And then you can take your oil and put it on that filter sites, those 2 areas on each side of the lower skull there. Always give your oils the respect to inhale them. We want your essential oils to be breathed in through that olfactory area and into the limbic system. So 3 deep breaths. Visualize that oil getting into the limbic system, into every area of the brain. Visualize that oil going all throughout the body where it needs to go. Last breath. Maybe you feel that you're being pulled to apply that oil somewhere else. That's okay. Follow your instinct. 3 deep breaths. Now we are going to repeat your phrase that is on the back of your paper. You're going to repeat this 3 times. I choose to release the trauma behind the emotion of, insert your emotion. So mine is anxiety for tonight. Really sit with that. Allow every part of your being, allow your shoulders to relax. Allow your arms to relax after you've inhaled that oil. Allow your back to relax, sink into your chair. Really allow that essential oil to get into every cell of your body. And repeat that phrase again. I choose to release the trauma behind the emotion of, I'm going to say anxiety for my word. I choose to release the trauma behind the emotion of. And you can repeat that 3 times or stay there and work on that if you feel like you're needing more time in that area. The next one is you're going to say, I choose, and the opposite of that word, your other side word. I choose, I'm going to put in there confidence. I choose confidence. You can visualize this. Allow your body to visualize and release that negative emotion and choose to release the trauma behind that emotion. Allow your body to release that negative emotion of anxiety or fear or overwhelm. Picture and visualize the positive emotion coming into play. If your word, for example, is laughter and you're like, I don't feel like laughing right now, just remember a time that you were laughing. How did that make you feel? Allow that feeling to come in and replace the negative emotion that was there, and repeat that 3 times. Next, you're going to say out loud your affirmation or your statement. So you will say your statement there. So mine is peace, be still. Peace, be still. Peace, be still. Again, you're going to allow yourself to sit with that, breathe that emotion in, and let anything that is not serving you go. Give your permission for it to leave. Give that emotion permission to leave, and recite your way out affirmation as many times as you need to. Or again, you can use the statement, I lovingly and willingly release that which no longer serves me in a positive or progressive way. So again, you can repeat that as many times and do that exercise over and over and over again. And I promise you, over time, if you commit to that consistency, all of a sudden you will be like, I think I'm good. I think I'm good now. I'm not triggered in that certain way anymore. I think I've dealt with that. Not that you won't feel that emotion again. I mean, we're going to feel these emotions, but don't let it stay long. If at the end of the day, if you were triggered by somebody and it just made you angry and you're like, oh, you got to release that. This is a tool that allows you to release that and to not harbor it, so that there's anger and resentment that's going to affect your liver and your digestion, if you don't deal with it, if you just keep burying it. So just very quickly, you can choose your oil that's going to help release anger. You're going to say quickly, I choose to release the trauma behind the emotion, anger. And then you can replace that with, I choose laughter. Breathe that in. I choose laughter. My way out, you put your affirmation in there and you're done. You can literally do this within 5 minutes and it can become a new daily habit for you. So that's one tool that we're discussing tonight. So keep these resources for you. This book is very in-depth and it goes through tons and tons of different ways to release your emotions. But I just wanted to share with you guys a simple way to take her teachings and just to get things to shift and move very quickly. One of the misconceptions of doing this emotional work is that it's going to hurt. Like, I'm going to have a major meltdown. I don't want to do this work because it's going to be uncomfortable. I don't want to forgive somebody because, they don't deserve it. I don't want to even go there. I'm not ready for that. You don't have to be ready for it. Just get into the motion of it, because the more that you do that, regardless, your limbic system and your subconscious is going to do the work for you. And then over time, that emotion might get a little bit easier for you to deal with. So just dive in and start somewhere. And again, that misconception is it's going to hurt. But I can tell you from the clients that I work with over the last 15 years, it's easier than you think. And they come back and they tell me, I thought I was going to have this major meltdown and this craziness was going to happen. And I just never went there, but it was easier than I thought. And now I'm past that. And then you can also, work on a different emotion. Over this lockdown and my kids being at home, my son has a history of anxiety. And so now, and it was a pretty bad anxiety attack that was triggered. And we used our oils to get us through. We used chiropractic, we used some supplements, we used other things as well. But essential oils was a powerful way for us to get things to shift for him. And the other thing that it's done is it's giving him a tool that if he gets into that situation, he knows he can get himself out of it by following these steps, and very simply. So now he's got his oils on his computer stand, and he knows how to use them now. Instead of maybe, teaching them, if I don't give him a tool, when he gets into college and he has anxiety or anything like this, what if he runs to the doctor and gets on a medication that he's sensitive to, and then he has suicidal thoughts and different, negative things can come up. So for me, I want tools in my home to be able to allow us to work through these very, very tough times. And I can tell you, it's been a game changer for my family and my entire family, and my sons, especially my children. So Janet says, my children wouldn't survive without their oils at university. Yeah, I do a whole class on oils for college students. But yeah, I know it once you learn this tool, it's like, how did I live without this before? How did I even manage, when we were challenged with illness or anything, how did I even manage without my oils? So let's get on to the next tool that I'm going to give you guys. And that has to do with our feelings kit. So the feelings kit comes with 6 different essential oils. You can buy all of these essential oils separate, or you can buy them in a kit. It's an awesome kit that this is really good for anything and anybody at any single time. It really helps to just, if you're just feeling way off and you don't even know what emotion you're dealing with, and you're just feeling like, I need a reset. I need something to just time out. I need to get back into my mindset. I need to get back into focus or anything. The feelings kit is amazing for that. It was created specifically by Gary Young in this manner because he studied this. He knew that even in Egyptian time, they used their essential oils to help get past and heal emotions. And he's come up with this the 6 set of feelings essential oils. When you buy the kit, you do get a little guide in there that comes with the kit, and it really guides you through how to do this. The resource guide that I gave you guys that was in the Google Drive link, that's actually an old teaching from Gary Young's trainings from 2008. So you will find some information on that handout that is no longer compliant, meaning that there's ways that he was saying to use the oil in that handout that we can no longer put out on the internet, I should say, because of compliancy. But it's interesting to learn how he originally created these teachings. And then I'm also going to give you the up-to-date version. When you buy the feelings kit and you are a customer of mine, I want to promise you that if you've gotten that feelings kit, I want to send you a gift. Or if you're purchasing that kit tonight, I want to send you a gift. I have his 2008 recording from that class, and I would love to gift that to you. So if you want the recording of his original classes, for those of you that don't know Gary Young's history, he's no longer with us. He passed away a few years ago, but he really is the he started essential oils and getting them in every single home in the world. And so he really is the founder of getting essential oils into the marketplace. And, every other company has been challenged to try to meet what Gary Young has done. So the company's been around for almost 30 years now, and it's just amazing. So yes, I'd love to gift that recording to you guys. Just message me and let me know if you purchased that feelings kit. You can text me at 815-310-6457, and I will get you that recording. So let's go through the feelings kit. And again, if you don't have these oils, that's totally fine. We're just going to fly through. It's another technique. I'm just going to walk you through these oils and how to apply them. And then you can always come back to this training. So for Valor, it starts off with Valor. This always starts off with Valor. Valor's nickname is Chiropractor in the Bottle. It really helps us to balance our nervous system and really ground us and center us. So we always start with Valor on the bottoms of the feet to start off this protocol. And this blend is effective for erasing our limited thinking. It balances and equalizes all of our body energies, and it increases the oxygen intake to the pineal gland. So remember, when you're applying your essential oils, apply it to the bottoms of your feet. But I always like to end with smelling that, or begin with smelling that and making sure that I'm getting that oil into the limbic system. So that, again, at bottoms of the feet with Valor, this is a great way to start your day, is with this protocol too. It really helps you just to get confidence and courage to start your day. So that's Valor on your feet. The next one is Harmony. These are all blends, meaning there's multiple different essential oils in there. They were created for a specific way to respond to your energy fields, to your cells. They are highly volatile compounds, meaning that they get in and they cross the blood-brain barrier, and they can do a lot of that work subconsciously. Whether we believe in oils or not, they're going to work. So I've had even some people that say, oh, it's the placebo effect. Well, what do you mean? It works. There's no placebo effect when it does work. So they're just phenomenal that way. So Harmony, there's no guide inside, Sandy, that when you open the kit?
No,
Oh, wow. It used to come with a guide, and years ago, so I have the old school. I've got the old school feelings kit. This came with a guide. I thought the newer ones came with a guide, and it came with the CD, but so if it doesn't, well, you have the resource now, and I will give you another version. I will pop that into the Google Drive. So you have two, the non-compliant one from Gary Young, and then the one that's today's version. I'm going to be sharing the information from both of them tonight, but I'll upload, this is the other compliant one. I'll upload that for you guys in that Google Drive too. So by all means, if somebody purchased that feelings kit and you don't have these, please go to that Google Drive link that is in the Facebook page event, or you can text the word resources to 815-310-6457, and I will pop that third resource in there for you. Because you gotta have that. How are you gonna know how to use these oils?
Yeah.
So maybe that's why some people get the feelings kit and it sits on the shelf. That is not what I want you to do. I want you to use these oils that are in there. So the first oil is applying Valor on the bottoms of the feet. The second oil is Harmony. Harmony is, you apply that in the 7 areas of the spine, or our chakras. So you can apply that again. You can start with the lower spine. You can apply a drop on the lower spine. So that's the coccyx area, the sacrum, the lumbar, that area. You can then bring it up to the heart center and apply it right to the heart center. You can even put it to your throat chakra, your pineal gland, your crown chakra, your solar plexus. You can go all along your chakra meridians and apply them that way. Again, if you're like, I don't know where my chakra meridians are, just go to the lower spine, and then your stomach, your heart, and your crown, and you're pretty much going to get all of your chakras. The handout does have where those chakras are located as well. So Harmony just kind of brings everything back into balance. And I'll read off here what Gary Young says about it. So again, massaging these in all the 7 areas along the spine. You can massage a Harmony oil on the crown of your head. We just talked about that. Harmony balances the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system, which in turn gives us progressive creativity and feelings of confidence. The biggest sin is not having confidence in yourself, says Gary Young. He who lacks confidence lacks life. Ouch. So that harmony can really help with some of that confidence. So that goes along the energy points of the spine. The step 3 is a forgiveness. So forgiveness is one of my favorite oils. If I had to pick one oil to wear as my perfume, I ditched perfume years ago. If I had one oil to pick for the smell of it, I would pick forgiveness. It's just an amazing oil. So applying forgiveness around the navel, which is the belly button area, with your right hand going clockwise several times, and think of a situation where you need to forgive yourself or others. We beat up ourselves a lot for, allowing somebody else to hurt us. But how about we forgive ourselves, for the mistakes that we might have made. So forgiveness is a big one. We tend to not allow ourselves to forgive one another. And this oil can really shift and bring that peace to us. So again, there's 5 steps that he talks about of how to forgive yourself or others to really get that self-love to take place. So number 1, forgiving yourself for allowing the person to affect your health and happiness. Number 2, forgiving the other person for any harm he or she may have caused you. This doesn't need to be done in person. This doesn't need to be a letter or a Facebook message or anything like that. But it really is just allowing that, that inner adjustment on your end of forgiving them. Forgiveness has nothing to do with that other person. You're not accepting their behavior. You're not saying it's okay. You're not anything. Forgiveness has to do with you and your response, period. There is also a saying that, hurt people hurt people. So we want to, we want to stop hurting and forgive others. And that in turn will allow us to release that pain from us, because unforgiveness is really just hurting ourselves. If we continue to not forgive somebody, they could care less. They're not even in our lives anymore or whatever. You're not affecting them by not forgiving them. You're affecting yourself by not forgiving them. So that oil can really help to shift that. So give the other person permission to forgive you. See the good in the situation. Be thankful for the experience and the lesson you gained from it. That's forgiveness. So step 4 is present time. So present time is that oil can be applied to your wrists. So again, when you're applying your oils, you can just apply them straight to your wrists. Activate that oil by putting your wrists together in that circular motion on your wrists. You can also put present time behind your ears as well. And that's also just another really great place to use present time. So when we live in the past or dwell on the future, we are not being productive in the present. Again, using present time along your wrist can really help. Another great place is to apply that to the thymus area. And it really helps to just bring you to the present and keeps you from worrying about the past or worrying about the future and just being in present. I will even diffuse this essential oil if I just really need to be with my family or with my kids. I will diffuse this oil so that we are all present at one time. Or if somebody, is just focusing on the negative of the past or negative of the future and the unknown, I'll just, when one of my family members or my kids, I'll say, come here, put some present time on there. Are you with me? Make eye contact. Let's release the past. Let's release the future and stay in the present, because that's all we have is the now. So present time is the next one. Step 5 is applying release over the front and back of the liver. So release is over the liver point. That's where we hang on to a lot of our anger, bitterness, resentment, and allowing that to be released from there. Step 6 is inner child. So inner child can be placed on the roof of your mouth, or we'll get to that, underneath the nose. And inner child, let me read what that is here. When you're a child, all things are possible. There are no limitations. This is what Gary Young has said in his teaching. When you find your inner child, you have found your true self. The child in you is your creativity. This is how he always taught us to use our inner child. And I've done this many times until compliancy issues, and we can no longer say we can use that oil that way. You do what you're comfortable with your essential oils. Follow your intention, your instincts, and do what you're comfortable with. You can use either one of these protocols. So you can place a drop of the oil on the palm of your hand, place the thumb into the oil, place that oil to the top of the roof of your mouth. And I know this sounds really weird, but you place that to the roof of your mouth, and that is the direct access to the pituitary and the pineal gland and other emotional areas. And while you are placing that, walk backwards. I know it sounds really weird. I don't know if you guys have ever done any of these studies on walking backwards and what that does. But what it does is it helps to release some of the past and bring that forward. But it also helps to elongate the spine, and it decompresses the discs in your back. So this is a technique that's in the Chinese culture as well, is reversing that, walking backwards. But Gary Young coupled that with the inner child, put that to the roof of your mouth and walk backwards. And that again is going to decompress the discs in your back and result in clearing those nerve channels from the brain to the body. Something to think about, something to try out. Otherwise, again, the inner child, you can just place it under the roof or on the lip or under the nose, and you can do it that way as well. Again, reminder to always breathe in those essential oils so that you can get it straight into the limbic system. Okay, so that is number 6. The final step is to bring it back all together with that Valor. You want to apply the Valor once again on the bottoms of your feet. And while this might sound like it takes a long time, you guys, it takes 30 seconds, a minute maybe. Again, you're just applying your oils, Valor on the bottoms of your feet. You're grabbing your Harmony around, putting that on the location, your present time on your wrist. You're releasing on the liver. You're just going through these emotions very quickly, and you will see that you can do this within a matter of even seconds to minutes, and really start incorporating that on a daily basis. Once you start going through this, you'll need your cheat sheet by you for a while, but then soon you'll be like, oh, I got this. And you do it on a daily basis. I challenge you to do that technique for 30 days and watch things shift and watch things change. You'll be surprised at the attraction that you get from people, that other, goals and abundance will start showing up in your life because your energy field has shifted. It has changed. We want to be vibrating on a high frequency. Our essential oils allow us to. When we have emotions like anger, bitterness, fear, anxiety, those lower our frequencies. When the lower our frequencies are, the more prone to disease we are. We know by the measurement of megahertz that diseases are measured on megahertz. We know love is very high frequency. We know that cancer is a very low frequency. So whatever we can do to get our vibration, our levels up, we need to do that. And the first step is helping with releasing some of these toxic emotions and moving them out of our bodies so that our bodies can pick up and heal. So that's the gist of how we can use these essential oils to really give change here. Did I miss forgiveness? No, I didn't. I did forgiveness. Yes. Okay. It's backwards in my PowerPoint. There's a little bit of a shift here with when Gary Young does his oils and then the new protocol. You do what you're comfortable with. Whatever protocol you have in front of you, just follow that and do it that way. Whatever you're doing, start with Valor, end with Valor. That's the most important. Start with Valor, end with Valor, and then you can, do whatever feels right to you. But just applying those to the specific locations is key. Okay. See, I don't even know why sometimes I make slides because I talk so fast and I never follow my notes. So that's the feelings kit for you guys. Have you guys who here has the feelings kit? Okay, so Sandy, you do. Janet, I bet you do. Anybody else here have the feelings kit that you, or any of those oils in there, and it has a favorite of the feelings kit? I would say, go ahead.
I don't have the feelings kit yet, but it is on my order for this month.
Oh, gotcha. Yes,
Yeah.
love, that's just an awesome kit. And this makes a really good gift too, even though it's a little bit pricey. You know, when you're a customer and you order over 100, you get that 24% off and free shipping, and you're going to get some freebies along with that. But it can be a really nice gift for, say, somebody that's going through a lot of emotional things, or that college student or whatever. So keeping that in mind too. The other thing that I really like to do is I like to buy roller bottles, and you can share this kit. You could make a copy of this, put a few of those drops, maybe 10 to 20 drops in a roller bottle, add some carrier oil to that, pop a little label on those, and you could gift it in a nice gift set like that too. That would be really nice. So yeah, the feelings kit's it's an awesome value. You could piecemeal and buy all those separate, but that's going to cost you a lot more than if you just get the kit all together. So again, if you are not a customer of Young Living yet, I would love to help you out with that. Any new customer of mine, I send you that welcome gift that's pictured there. I customize it to you. So for those that are doing this class, I'll be all, you know, in emotions and feelings, but I always give you tools and education so that you know how to use your products. I always set up a one-on-one consult with you so that we can dive deeper into some of your health needs and make sure that you're utilizing the oils, one, that you have on hand already. Before purchasing some more, I want you to be able to use the products, the supplements, everything that you have on hand, so that you're getting the best benefit from that. So if you're not a customer with Young Living yet, you can use my link. It's pictured right there. You can go to bit.ly/join Robin. Or if you know of a Young Living member, please reach out to them, ask them for their referral ID so that they can help you along the way as well. Or if somebody on this class, you invited you to this class, please reach back out to them and ask them for their referral ID and help them out that way as well. So closing up for the night here, I have some resources for you guys for upcoming things. So if you want to be on my text messaging of learning when you can get all of the Monday night classes or any classes that I have coming up, we do Monday night Ignite calls for the team. There's several different leaders that pop on Monday nights, and there's phenomenal classes all month long. And I can, if you text the word Monday to 815-310-6457, I will send you the monthly class list and also the schedule and time reminders. They always record those. So if there is a class that you see that's on there and you can't make it, just reply back to me recording and I will get you that recording. It's every Monday night. If you again want to receive Gary's recording and you've are a customer of mine and you've received the feelings kit, just text the word feelings to that same number and I will get you covered on that. I will pop those other resources that we talked about into the link into our Facebook group, or you can text resources to that same number and I will hook you up that way. So this again is going to be recorded. Feel free to share this with whomever you want. I will pop this recording into the Facebook event page. If you want the recording, just text recording to that number and I will send it to your phone. And if you have any questions, I'm always here for you guys. I'll stay on for just a few minutes and answer any questions that you might have. And I thank you guys all for showing up and taking time for you and learning a new tool that's going to benefit you and your family. So have a good night, everybody, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Rob.